All right, here's part 2. Find the inverse of x squared. So you got to remember the first thing you do is rewrite it just using x's and y's. So get rid of function notation and use y. Second thing that you have to do is you have to switch x and y. So that means you have x equals y squared. Now I have to solve for y. So you need to know that taking the square root will undo a radical. So if you have x squared and you take the square root of it, this has an invisible implied index of 2, and square roots and exponents, they cancel each other out. So just like addition undoes subtraction, multiplication undoes division, radicals are what undo exponents. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. And what you have to remember, so that cancels out that, is that when you take the square root of both sides, you get two answers. You get the positive version and the negative version. So I have plus and minus radical x equals y. And then I'm going to get rid of my y and use inverse notation equals plus or minus radical x. Find the inverse of this radical function. So y equals 2 times the square root of x minus, that's a 3. That's a 3. Switch x and y, so x equals 2 radical y minus 3. You always want to have your square root isolated before you square both sides. You should divide both sides by 2 first before you square both sides. So now you have x over 2 equals the square root of y minus 3. So if squaring and radicals undo each other, that means if I square both sides, that is the operation that is going to undo this radical. And then on the left side over here, if you square something, you have to apply that to both the numerator and denominator. That means I have x squared over 4 equals y minus 3. Y is what I want to solve for, so I need to add 3 to both sides. I have x squared over 4 plus 3 equals y. And then I'm going to get rid of this y and replace it with function notation. Then finally it might say, so determine if they are inverses of each other. If you want to find out if they're inverses of each other, you're going to take the inverse of each, and it's going to be yes if you get the other function. So if you focus on the first one, f of x equals 5x plus 10. So y equals 5x plus 10. Switch your x and y. And now I need to solve for y. That means I have to subtract 10 from both sides. I'm going to undo this multiplication, and I'm going to divide both sides by 5. So x minus 10 over 5 equals y. So if you look at this one, you might be saying, no, I don't think so. But you got to remember that if you have just one denominator, you can divide both things in the numerator by that. So that's the same thing as x minus 5 minus 10 over 5. Well, 10 over 5 reduces down to 2. So x over 5 minus 2. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch that to f negative 1 of x. This is the same thing as my g of x function. And so, yes, they are inverse functions because the inverse gets the other function. And that is how we find inverses. Have a good one.